afternoon. Welcome to Threads Untangled. We are excited to welcome so many folks to our webinar today, and we're looking forward to sharing some best practices for Threads, as well as some background on the social network for folks who are new to it. And before we get started, just a little bit about us if you're not familiar with us. Social News Desk is the only social media management software that's purpose-built for important business. We were founded back in 2010, and we proudly support America's largest news companies, cities, government agencies, schools, and businesses who require powerful, always-on social media tools. And just a little bit about me. I'm Sarah Loyd, the Senior Manager of Customer and Product Success here at Social News Desk. I am based down in San Antonio, Texas. I'm a huge fan of the San Antonio Spurs. Before I joined Social News Desk, I was in news, promotions, and social media. And I've been a part of Team S&D since way back in 2014. I'll be celebrating 10 years this coming June. Time flies when you're having fun. So let's go ahead and jump in and learn more about Threads and how to build content that can succeed. So first of all, what is Threads? This is Meta's newest social network, and it launched last summer in more than 100 countries. Its launch was delayed in the European Union until last December. At launch, Threads was only available via the iOS and Android apps, and the web version, threads.net, opened up 2 months later in September of 2023. And Threads has been called the fastest growing platform in history. 1 million users signed up in the first 4 hours of the launch, and after a day, there were already 30 million users. Threads hit 100 million users in less than a week, and the previous record holder was ChatGPT, which took about 2 months to hit 100 million users. As of February 2024, there are about 130 million monthly active users on Threads, according to Meta, and that makes it the most widely used so-called Twitter alternative so far. Just to put it in perspective, the Fediverse has about 1.6 million monthly active users, and Blue Sky claims to have about 3 million users now. I'm not sure if that's daily or monthly. They're not really clear on that. And they only recently started allowing any user to sign up without an invitation. And X, by comparison, still pulls in more than 500 million monthly active users, and that number is as of July of last year, according to X. So Threads recently released their beta API to a limited number of partners, including Social News Desk, and this allows users to schedule and publish content through some third-party apps. And we actually played a pivotal role in the design and build out of the beta API. We were an alpha tester starting way back in October of 2023. So what does that mean for you? It means that S&D customers have early access to publish to Threads from the dashboard, which makes the time investment much smaller. So Threads, as I mentioned, has widely been called a Twitter replacement due to some of the similarities in how posts are structured. The network supports text, links, images, videos, and carousels. And Threads has a feature similar to hashtagging called topic tags, where users can bundle posts together under a single topic. Interactions on Threads are somewhat similar to X or Twitter. Users can repost content, quote posts to add your own context or your own take, reply to content, and like posts. And Threads recently added the ability to save posts as well. Posts, or threads as they're often called, can be cross-posted to Instagram and Facebook really easily, and lately they have been featured in both Instagram and Facebook to cross-promote the Threads app. And you may have noticed when you publish to Instagram or Facebook that there's also a share to Threads option. So they're trying to really cross-pollinate between all three social networks. The main feeds on Threads are broken up into 2 parts. There's the For You feed that mixes in content from both accounts you follow and suggested posts based on your previous interactions. And there's the Following feed, and that only contains content from accounts that you follow. The For You feed is the default feed in both the mobile app and the desktop site, which makes it really easy for content discovery. Threads also continues to test and release new features. Trending Now just released widely yesterday on March 19th after just a few weeks of testing with a small group of users. And you'll see trending now in the Threads search, as well as throughout the For You feed. And this is all part of Threads' emphasis on real-time conversations and events. Threads is also testing the ability to swipe to like a post or to tell Threads you're not interested in a post. And this will help Threads tailor the For You feed to more of your interests. And there have also been some public tests of compatibility with the Fediverse, but that feature isn't available to the general public yet. So now that we've got a baseline for what Threads is, let's talk about some best practices for making the most of the audience there. Let's talk a little bit about the algorithm first. Interacting with posts by leaving likes or replies will help that publisher show up more in your feed. So as you're scrolling through, pay attention to which types of content are getting the most engagement and consider creating similar content. Interacting with certain subject matter like news or sports will also bring more of that type of content into your For You feed. And just like with other social networks like Instagram and X, following other accounts can be a good way to start building your audience of followers. Once your following begins to grow, your account will begin to show up more in the For You feed, helping you to be discovered by people who don't follow you just yet. One of the best ways to build your audience is to engage, engage, engage. I can't say it enough times. Interacting with other people's posts is the best way to get your account to show up to people who don't follow you yet. And Threads will send a notification to other users when you like, repost, quote post, or reply to those posts, which then helps to build more awareness of your account overall. There are some other ways to engage people on Threads. First of all, you can reply to people who are participating in topics that you're interested in or topics that you're posting about in order to build more awareness of your account around that topic in the For You feed. You can also use the quote post feature instead of just the repost, and this can help you show up more in the For You feed for people who follow that account that you're quoting. It will also notify the original poster that you quoted their post. And lastly, you can also tag other accounts. Right now, just typing in their @username, same as their Instagram username, will tag those accounts in your post and send them a notification, and also make it more likely that their followers will see that post from you. So what kind of content should you publish on Threads? Threads allows users to use up to 500 characters in a post or a comment, but sometimes, of course, less is more. And users can also publish links, images, carousels, and videos that are up to 5 minutes in length at this time. But don't just drop links in a headline. You want to be really thoughtful about what you publish. The people behind Threads say that you should focus on content that's shareable and content that starts a conversation. So ask questions in your posts to encourage more replies and interactions. Links do show up, but text and media posts tend to dominate more in the algorithm, so consider mixing in more media posts than you might on Facebook or X. Probably similar to what you might publish on Instagram, but you can include the link to your story in the caption. If you're posting about a topic that's part of a wider discussion, consider adding a topic tag, and this is similar to a hashtag. You can tag single word topics through S&D at this time by using the hashtag or # before your topic. You can also include keywords that will still show up in tagged topic searches, even if they're not a linked topic tag. And here's a pro tip if you want to see what topic tags people are using. You can go to the Threads native composer, type in the hashtag symbol, and then start typing in your topic, and you'll see other popular tags like you see here, which can then help you decide which tag you might want to use for your own content. Threads is also emphasizing timely content, so more recent posts are going to show up more frequently than older content. You might consider posting more real-time content, such as coverage of live events or sports, weather or traffic updates, kind of like you see here, and of course news you can use like consumer information. So-called hard news doesn't tend to perform as well on Threads so far, so be choosy about the content that you choose to share. If you're publishing video to Threads, remember that it will autoplay without sound as people scroll through their feeds. So make sure your video captures attention visually in the first 3 seconds, either with text or with a really compelling visual. We also suggest that you caption any spoken audio in your video so that people who continue to watch with the sound off, I'm definitely one of them, are more likely to pay attention. And the goal here is to stop the scroll and get people to stop and engage and watch your video. And as I mentioned, just like with other social networks, asking questions is a great way to get people to reply or comment. As people interact more often with your posts, they're more likely to see your content in the future. So as Threads continues to grow, there are a few accounts that you can follow that post helpful tips and product updates. You can follow Threads. This is the official account for Threads, and they share new features and updates, plus helpful tips and tricks for using the app. You can also follow Adam Mosseri, head of Instagram, for feature updates and product sneak peeks. Adam often answers user questions directly from his own account, and his answers usually will give us more insight into how the algorithm works. I would also recommend following 0x Jesse L. This is Jesse Chen, one of the engineers for Threads, and he regularly posts more technical product updates, including information about the Threads API. And for more insight into content creation for both Threads and Instagram, you can follow Creators. This is the official Instagram Creators account, and they share tons of useful tips and tricks for building great content and also getting the most out of the apps. And of course, we invite you to follow Social News Desk on Threads for updates on our product, as well as social media strategy ideas and tips from our S&D blog. All right, I believe it is time for a little bit of Q&A. So if you have any questions, please drop those in the chat. I see a few here already, so let's jump right in. So first of all, how does Threads compare to Twitter? So the user base for Threads is about a quarter of X's at this point, but Threads is still growing, albeit more slowly than it did in the very beginning. The audience for Threads is more similar to Instagram's, since you do have to have an Instagram account in order to sign up for Threads. So it tends to skew more female, a little bit younger, and tends to be more educated. The interactions on Threads are very similar to Twitter. So a lot of people who maybe have been disillusioned with X, they have migrated to Threads, and they're trying to reproduce some of the communities that have thrived on X in the past. All right, how can I onboard my Threads account in Social News Desk? That's a great question. The onboarding process for Threads is very similar to other social networks in S&D. You will need your Instagram username and password in order to attach it. And if you need help, please email our team at support@socialnewsdesk.com, and we can then send you some detailed instructions. If I don't have a Threads account yet, how do I start one? So you can only create a Threads account if you have an existing Instagram account. So if you don't have an Instagram account, start there first. And then you can go to threads.net or use the Threads mobile app and log in with your Instagram account. From there, you can import your information from Instagram, including following anyone that you're already following on Instagram. And this is a really great way to get your Threads account rolling, since people will often follow you back. And then of course, you'll have some content in your For You feed and your following feed when you log in for the first time. Threads also has this really interesting pre-follow feature, basically. So your followers who maybe followed you on Instagram can choose to follow you once you start a Threads account. So if you have jumped right into Threads, you may notice that you have hundreds of followers that you didn't expect to have, and these are all people who followed you from Instagram over to Threads. So it's a really great feature. All right, are there any best practices for Threads that are inherently different than Instagram and or Facebook? So Threads tends to be more focused on new and recent content versus Facebook or Instagram, where you might be more likely to see content that's a couple of days old. Instagram is more video focused, where Threads tends to be more text or image focused, and of course Facebook is more about video and links. Here we go. When do you expect to have reporting and scheduling tools available in S&D? So good news, scheduling is already available in S&D. Once you've onboarded your Threads account, you can assign it to your users, and you can publish and schedule just like you would side by side with your other social networks. As far as reporting and metrics goes, we don't know exactly when this is going to be available in the Threads API, but we know that Meta is working on it right now. So once the API has the feature available, we're going to be adding it into S&D. So stay tuned for that. When do you expect to have autopilot available for S&D? So more good news. I keep whacking my microphone, sorry about that. Autopilot for Threads is on our roadmap. It's not quite in there yet, but this is something that we are working on, so stay tuned for that. We will announce any updates to that for inside S&D. You might have mentioned, but how many characters per post? Good question. There are 500 characters per post or reply, so you have plenty of space to see that. Are you seeing image posts reaching more people than links or videos? So we're not clear on the amount of reach that posts are getting since we don't have that Insights API just yet. So it's hard to gauge exactly how much reach posts are getting. What I've seen anecdotally is that image and text posts tend to get a little bit more interaction. So just by going off of the engagement that I'm seeing, that is, kind of posts that tend to do a little bit better. I do see a lot of news organizations already posting, just a lot of links with maybe a headline. And there's a volume game that you can play there with, just trying to post as much as you can. But Threads does tend to reward posts that get more interaction, and your account is going to show up more often for people who are interacting with you. So I would definitely suggest posting a little bit more media than you would to Facebook, and probably aligning it a little bit kind of a cross between your Twitter and Instagram strategy. All right, let's see. Next question. How does Threads approach content moderation and fact checking, especially leading up to the election? So Meta has developed a comprehensive approach for elections across all of their platforms. Their approach to election integrity on Facebook and Instagram also extends to Threads. And this includes things like identifying AI-generated content, fighting election interference, and also clearly labeling false information. What types of topics tend to do well on Threads? So that's a great question. Sports I've seen do really well, and I will say my For You feed may be a little bit biased because I am an early participant in NBA Threads. There's also NFL Threads, and I'm also seeing a lot of people lately filling out and posting their brackets for March Madness on Threads lately for both the men's and women's tournaments. So that can be a great opportunity to engage your fans. Live events like award shows tend to do really well. I saw a ton of posts about the Oscars. People were using the Oscars topic tag. Also, election coverage is going to be really big this year since we are in a presidential election cycle. Also, weather and traffic, since Threads tends to surface newer content more often, this is a great opportunity to publish timely updates to the forecast or traffic events. And then, of course, things like things to do around town, locally in your area, consumer news, really anything that's going to invite users to respond with their own ideas. So asking about, just like we used to in the old days of Facebook, right? Like asking where the best place to get tacos in town is. Everyone's going to want to chime in with their own opinion. Let's see, how does verification work on Threads? So if you're verified on Instagram, good news, you'll automatically be verified on Threads. And this also includes users who have paid for Meta Verified if you choose to go down that road. I personally am not verified on either platform. That's okay, you guys know who I am. All right, will we be able to search public posts via search and listen in S&D? So we don't know yet whether or not Threads is going to make posts searchable via their API, but if they do make that available, we'll definitely investigate that as a possibility. Has Meta released any data on demographics of users? So not yet. It's still pretty early in the Threads game. It's not even a year old yet. So I think the demographics are still shifting, but From what we can tell, it's very similar to Instagram, since you do have to have that Instagram account to sign up. If you're not a Social News Desk customer and you'd like to learn more about the S&D integration with Threads, you can request a demo at socialnewsdesk.com, and someone from our team will be happy to walk you through Threads and everything else that you can do in Social News Desk. So thank you guys so much for your time today. We appreciate you joining us this afternoon. And if you think of any questions, please send them our way. Thanks so much.